Good job, Pedro. Good job. No, stop. It's better. Hello. This is like Star Citizen talkie time, and I play video of 3.0 in the background to make people happy about Star Citizen, and then I take questions from the chat, and I talk about the news, and we talk about the cool stuff that's happened, and some of the shit stuff, and whatever anyone else brings up. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. About this shit that I've seen on the tour. Yeah, so I saw some concept vehicles and ships on my tour, and I talked because you basically have free-form questions. I talked to some of the devs about other things that they were planning and that sort of stuff. So I found out about the game changer from that, and I just assume it's the game changer. There were some other cool things that I saw that I wouldn't deem as game changing or game adding vehicle and ship wise, but there's some cool stuff there certainly. But the game changer is clearly the game changer. Well, game adder. Yes. They'll talk about it soon. I'm assuming it will go on concept sale at CitizenCon. That would be my expectation, because it will be probably quite a big sale. Where the 600i wasn't particularly functional, although they have talked about the 600i being able to do some of those smaller VIP missions now, something like that, with transportation of people, probably. The game changer is a big civilian job. I already said too much about the game changer. Dun dun dun. Yeah, so feel free to ask questions in the chat, pretty much about anything Star Citizen based. I'll answer if I can. I'll try and form some sort of coherent sentence. I couldn't even do it then. If I don't know still, I'll say whatever. If you don't get your question answered in a timely manner, feel free to put it in again. Just don't spam it repeatedly. That will annoy, and the auto mod will start doing things. So we can talk about ATV. Today, what we're going to talk about, we'll talk about the ATV. It will be just the burn down section of that. And we'll talk about the faked $45,000 refunds and the FUD campaigns and all that kind of bullcrap, which Star Citizen seems to get targeted by trolls. And we'll talk about Spectrum's 0.36 release. And we'll have a look at some cool pictures. But I think the main thing that... can anyone lend me $45,000? I wish. So I think the main thing that's kind of happened is that they've refocused their plans for the first Evocati release of Alpha 3.0. So we should be seeing 3.0 for the Evocati releasing a lot sooner. There was 76 bugs that they had to fix last week, and now there's only 26. And they fixed a load of them, but the rest of them they've kind of pushed to the side for a second Evocati build. So what the plans now are that they're going to... And let's bring this up on the screen, because, you know... that later. This is a nice little graph. It's showing that, oh, they've made progress. Then this is a little bit deceptive because they haven't fixed these 50 bugs. Some of them have been fixed. I'm not sure how many. And the rest of them have been pushed to the side. So for the first Evocati build now, we need 26 bugs fixed. And they're going to be focusing on finishing up the maneuvering and moving around the system, transitioning between quantum drive, landing, the air traffic control systems, quantum travel, moving around planets, all that sort of jazz. That's going to be in the first Evocati build. That's the bugs that they're going to polish out for the first Evocati build, and then they'll move on to the others after they've got that first build out. So we can actually utilize the Evocati. But hopefully they'll fix a load of other stuff in between that as well. So those 26 bugs that they fixed, they will be working on the others as well. Just that's the kind of the crux of it. It's not entirely like, they fixed 50 bugs. That's not what's happened. They fixed a load of them, but the rest have been pushed to the side. So feel free to ask questions about that if you want. The other thing that's the major thing I wanted to talk about today is that Star Citizen's always been a target of trolls. I mean, everything gets targeted by trolls at some point. But there's been loads of little FUD campaigns and bullshitteroos. And let's actually bring the camera back on. I'm not sure why the camera's off. lots of like bullshit FUD campaigns and lots of stuff trying to smear Star Citizen, or just going, ha, this means this when it means this, and just bullshit going around about Star Citizen. And this was a huge example of this. So literally a couple of days ago, or yesterday or something, a Reddit poster claimed to receive a $45,000 refund from CIG, but that wasn't the case. It was a $330 refund, and they just faked the refund for the other amount. They just changed some stuff, and it looked fishy at the time, and people were like, no, that's probably a fake, and you're in the UK and you should have been returned VAT. And he was, oh no, it's not, and has since, that guy that faked that has since deleted the Reddit account on it. But loads of big media jumped on the bandwagon and went, oh, it's $45,000 refund, but they've now done these big retractions and stuff. I just thought it's kind of interesting to talk about, because it's an odd thing for Star Citizen to be targeted like that with bullshitteroo campaigns, and I think it's because of its scope and because of its changing deadlines constantly that it makes it a lot easier to be a target. I mean, I've put this in a video that will go out in a minute, but just I would encourage my community and anyone else that, you know, enjoys Star Citizen or whatever to not engage with trolls and shit slinging and burning people down and all that sort of jazz. Like, it's not worth it. Trolls want an emotional response, but lots of people are totally unreasonable. Always be that reasonable person if you can. I'm not your dad, so I can't tell you what to do, but that's my recommendation. But it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter if someone thinks they've got one up on you when they're clearly just trolling. Who cares? Who cares, mate? I thought this was really interesting as well. I keep on looking at this. This is like the crowdfunding spreadsheet, and you can see when they've got funding and when they're getting amounts and what they're selling and that sort of jazz. And I'll link this here. I think people might find that interesting. And I'll probably be doing an article on it at some point, because once Star Citizen gets to, for me, the golden figure of 200 million, I just think it's an insane amount of money. But it's I'd like to track exactly the growth of the studios and what they've been moving as they've been getting money and that sort of stuff. So looking at the scope of the project and how it's increased. Because originally they only wanted a few million to create a very basic version of Star Citizen, Squadron 42 and stuff. So the scope of the project's massive and it's amazing for it, but it has changed quite significantly. And we're almost at 160 million, which will probably get there by the end of the month. Insane amount of thing. Can I link again? What do you want me to link again? This is just one of the many articles that came out about it. That was
Tricksy
all just based entirely on the same thing. Thank you very much, Zeus. Fucking love you. Zeus is a legendary person and forced to kind of be a mod on lots of my channels. Thanks, Zeus. The best. So the refund news was fake. Yes, that's correct. Not the case. It was a $330 refund. And a bullshitteroo. So in other news, Spectrum 0.36 came out. Spectrum eventually will be this hopefully awesome communication platform, which basically just rolls in all the good communication platforms into one. So we're going to have the voice over IP of basically Discord, obviously with that face over IP and lip driven movement as well. For voice, we're also going to have forums and communication methods, and it's going to be on your mobile, it's going to be on your desktop, it's going to be integrated in game, and all that sort of jazz. But the new version of Spectrum now is more like Reddit. It now tracks karma, it tracks post count, and it has more ease of access to find specially rolled threads. So someone that's posting as staff or linked to staff posts, you can find their replies much more easily. I thought that was pretty cool. Give a link to people that want to see that as well. It's cool for people to be salty. Like I'm actually quite a salty person when I play games. Because the way my brain works, I realised, is because I suffer quite erratically from bipolar depression and anxiety. The way my brain works is it tries to get as much control as possible, and I look for things to be fair, and I kind of judge whether things are fair or not. So I'll get killed in a game from like a random shot in PUBG, and that'll rage me out because I'll be like, really? I've got killed by Vector from like 3 kilometers away. What the fuck? And I'll get really salty. So You will see me salty when I play games, especially Star Citizen in the future, I'm sure. When I lose like a ship that I've cracked up for and I've forgotten to insure it or something, you'll see me get salty. But my saltiness is very short-lived. It's very, like, it's in 1 minute, or probably less than that, 30 seconds of proper salt and then move on. And I take the piss out of myself for it. With the production schedule, obviously tonight we will see a update to the actual schedule report, which will list what they're polishing on, actual crashes that they fixed, and that sort of stuff. So tomorrow we'll look at that in a bit more detail in a video. On Fridays, I'm going to sneeze in a second, so just be aware. Oh no, maybe not. Now I really want to sneeze. So on Fridays, I'm going to do like a quick headlines video of some of the news. Just wham bam. Try and get it under 5 minutes. Trying to get it around 3 if I can. That will literally just go through quick update on 3.0 where we're at, and then any major news headlines, and then wham, done. So just really quick. And then on the Saturday, something more akin to a studio report where we'll look at what they've actually fixed. We'll get some footage to go with it. We'll look at the Burndown from ATV and that sort of stuff. So I think that might work as a good little thingy. I can't think of words. But then obviously on Friday, if I do like a short video like that, I can do one of these kind of Star Citizen-y chatty talky things. Website. If you want to ask a question, putting question in brackets is probably the easiest way of doing it at the moment. Just because then I can see it more easily and thinking about it. I always try and aspirationally improve these Star Citizen talks every time we do them. And I quite enjoy doing them because it helps get my mind, focused. We'll have a look at the ATV in a bit. Just the Burndown section. I should be, hopefully, on the Redacted podcast again next week. My brother was in a car accident. It might have affected his care slightly, so he's totally fine. He's totally fine. He's not like exploded or anything. He's not broken anything. But he's hemiplegic, and I'm his carer, so it's one of the reasons I haven't been on Redacted podcast, because I can't commit to it, basically. We don't know what ships 100% are coming in 3.1. Expect that we'll get a schedule report, and a lot of ships most likely will be in 3.1 if they're not given quicker than that because of the Delta patcher. Matt Sherman was in here a few days ago talking to us about the patch cycles not being overly affected by the Delta patcher, so you would get hot fixes in, you would get a balance and that sort of stuff much quicker and much more easily, but ships might take more work to get into a patch, so they might be they might get more likely to go into the 0.1, 0.2 patches, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to always push to have content sooner when it comes to ships, when it comes to game mechanics, when it comes to pretty much everything, because I don't want the same kind of drought that we had from December to now of patching. Like I don't want to wait for another. I don't want to wait for 3.1 for another year. But I want it in 3 months. You know what I mean? So, when do I think science and research will hit the game? Now, I'm hoping that at CitizenCon we'll get some expanded roadmaps that will give us an idea, at least, of where they see science and research. I do think it's going to be one of the later mechanics they put into the game, just because it's a bit of an odd one compared to some of the others. And I suspect we'd see medical first. So I suspect that after mining that we'll see salvage, we'll see medical, and that sort of stuff before we'll see science and research. Probably even exploration before that. Probably base building and manufacture even probably before that. So just bear that in mind. That's my personal opinion. Do I know to what extent the market will be player run? So obviously players will have an effect on the economy in game. I believe it's pretty much similar to the original idea of the economy at the moment anyway. I mean, they'll flesh it out and change it. But we are 1/10 of the active population in the game. So we're not going to have a huge effect on the economy compared to something like EVE, which is entirely player run. So just bear that in mind. We don't know exactly how that's going to pan out, but do affect to have
Trixie
some
changes
on the economy, some effects. Thank you very much, New Lyric. I don't. What? New Lyric. They are. That's a name. That's basically what your name was, isn't it? We will have an effect on the economy, and we're going to have an effect on the economy in slightly different ways than just trading and buying and selling. It's going to be a lot of ships getting destroyed affect the economy because those ships need to get remade, so we need materials to make them. So there are going to be missions generated to get iron from planet A to planet B, and if those get intercepted by pirates regularly, there's going to be missions to kill those pirates, and if they don't get through, then they're not going to be able to build the ships to get them out for people that have claimed them back on insurance, so there'll be a waiting list. There's a huge knock-on effects with the economy in this game, and that's one of the joys of it. It does make it quite... There's a storm happening outside my house now. Everything's gone a lot darker, which is why you can see kind of fuzzy bit there. Drawing the magic. Do you know what extent... Yeah, that's what we just read. What's your secret to being so handsome? I sit down all day, don't do much exercise, and I eat what I like. Although I do eat quite well. So, like, I used to be a chef. So, for example, yesterday I did a big 4-kilogram joint of pork, and I made some char siu sauce for it, and then I barbecued it in my smoker. Smoked and barbecued it simultaneously, effectively, for about 6 hours. And it was lovely. Delicious. I haven't eaten all of it, obviously. Thank you very much for the bits. Harry Hellion. Yes. Oh, why have everyone got such odd names that I can't ever pronounce? I'm sorry if that ripped ears. I saw clipping. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. Are they getting rid of some of the ships in 3.0? No, they're not getting rid of any ships in 3.0. For 3.0, they are adding the Aurora and Cutlass Black reworks. We're getting the Nox, we're getting the Dragonfly, we're getting the Constellation Aquila, we're getting the Urza Rover, and we're getting the Prospector. And I believe that's all. And the rest, even if they're fixed and ready on the graph, so let's bring this up. Did I miss any first? Let's just double check to make sure I didn't miss any. You can see what I'm seeing on my screen. Let's do that again. There's a list of them here. I originally thought the Razor was going to be in, but that's not confirmed. In fact, it's pretty much saying they're not going to put any more ships in 3.0 because it would slow down the builds, and they don't want to do that. They want to get it out as soon as they can. They just have to have quality trumping all. So I am going to buy so many spaceships. Thank you for the donation, Joanne Weller. Thank you. So ships like the Hurricane and stuff, and the Mustang and the Constellation Phoenix, they're all coming. They're all coming soon. The Razor, the Cutlass Red, they're all coming really soon. Probably either, well, they're going to come in 3.1 or before is the most likely course. If anyone wants to see this graph, which will be updated later today as well, this is basically their timeline to the end of the year. You take it with a little bit of pinch of salt because these are internal dates and expected and planned dates for stuff. They're not always 100% accurate. They're certainly not 100% accurate, in fact. But they're like target estimates and that sort of stuff. And so just bear that in mind. And that's one of the joys of the open development of Star Citizen. You get to see stuff like this. Doesn't necessarily mean it's accurate at all, but it gives you a better indication of things. What else have we got here? What's the trick for making Star Citizen high priority for your PC's memory so that it really does improve performance? There's no real tricks for that at the moment. People are messing around with CPU stuff. Always put Star Citizen on an SSD. I've got mine on an M2 drive, and that seems to help a lot. You can go in offline mode, that helps with frame rates, but Star Citizen is massively unoptimized at the moment. It will get some better optimization for 3.0, or at least that's the expectation. But, and big but, we don't know until it's on our hands. And 3.1 and 3.2 are where we're going to start to see big performance gains with object container streaming and that sort of jazz. Yes, we can expect the banning merchantman for 2018. I'm not sure about the Orion. So you can see here the Carrack is planned to be relatively complete, maybe, by mid 2018. That sort of stuff, but I can't see the Orion on here. In fact, I don't think they've got a start date for the Orion. But I'd expect it in 2018, I'm not sure. But if I pay cash for weapons or anything, Anything you pay with IRL cash in the short term is totally safe. Okay, anything that you buy in-game with in-game credits from 3.0 onwards is not safe. So when you lose the ship with those items that you bought with in-game money on, those items will be lost. So just bear that in mind. In the future, you're going to be able to ensure stuff like that. But until basically the game goes live, anything that's cash purchases is 100% safe. Unless they say otherwise, because they might consider doing a beta where they change that, but I doubt it.
I am going to buy so many spaceships.
Thank you very much, Jonathan.
European J, so pronounced Johan, winking face.
Johan, there you go. If anyone wants to donate and put that how to pronounce their name phonetically in the chat, or get the bot to read it out, then that is really good for me, because I'm really bad with names, and I'm really sorry about that. Thank you, Johan. Appreciated. Thank you for... It's horrible, isn't it, the rain? Apologise. I apologise for the rain. I apologise for calling you Johan. Do you think the toilet and shower on the blue and the red... so I think that there's going to be toilet and beds in the red, but I don't think there's one on the blue. For the cutlasses. I've been using Reshade and SweetFX and all that sort of jazz. There was Zenthor's Reshade, which I really very much recommend using for Star Citizen at the moment. It makes it look great. The colours are much more vivid. It looks awesome. But yeah, Reshade's great for loads of games. It's a shader injector. It just makes games look a bit better. Gives you more control over them at the very least. I use it in PUBG to give me a slight advantage so I can see movement better. At distance, so you see almost.
I am going to buy so many spaceships.
Cheers.
Thanks, Johan. Very much appreciated. You don't need to keep on donating. Very much appreciated. Although I do love the donations. I feel guilty. I was explaining this the other day. So Stormfire, one of the gentlemen that's and his org that have donated stuff in the past, like for giveaways. They are donating next month for CitizenCon. And for end of month giveaway, it's going to be like a Constellation Aquila and stuff like that. So it's the big prizes, and I feel so guilty for stuff like that. But yeah, they've been really fucking good to me. Like, thank you. I've got a very good community. I do appreciate you guys a lot. And you know that's like a sweeping sort of like you guys as addressing you all. But thank you. Like, I love the Star Citizen community. I love my community. I think you're amazing. Is CIG to allow, planning to allow to control things from a smartphone? So we're just definitely going to have some integration with a smartphone with like Spectrum and stuff. So you might be able to manage orgs. They've got their render to texture stuff, so we might be able to see cameras in game from phones. We don't exactly know what we're going to get in the form of external apps for Star Citizen, but maybe. So we might be able to have some control in game over smartphones, but don't expect it to be micromanagement. I don't need to log in at all. Star Citizen. I think they're probably staying away from that route. Boop, 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 boop. Let's go back down. No, I can't stop it raining. When will the 600R be flight ready? I have no idea. I am assuming it's relatively low on the priorities list. I think you'll probably have I suppose you'll have a toilet in each of the cells, assuming the Cutlass Blue still has cells. I don't think it needs that many cells. I just have one big cell. Do you know, like an American style jail. Hi, Bored. On the ship pipeline, for example, the 890 jump has a date of March 2017, ending March 2018. Do you personally believe that the artists are working on it? I expect that there are resources working on it. I don't think they work on it every day like that. I think they move resources around from different areas and studios, and I think that obviously the ship pipeline's massive. You've got art, you've got some engineering.
I am going to buy so many spaceships.
Break stuff down.
Now I'm blushing.
Thank you very much, Johan. Much appreciated. You're a star. Thank you. Yeah, but you've got all those different processes from the ship pipeline that cause... they will cause blockages. I can't remember what the think it's Tech Art. Tech Art are the biggest blocker for ship pipeline stuff, but the ship pipeline's getting more and more efficient. So possibly expect it to be done when they expect it to be done. So maybe the 890 will be done end of March 2018. I think we just need to be aware that Star Citizen are pretty bad with actual scheduling. Well, they're not. It is their internal dates, and I think it happens in all like kind of studios with AAA games and stuff where they have, let's get this done then. Oh, it's 6 months late. But just keep that in mind. I don't know exactly how they're allocating resources to the 890.
I am going to buy so many spaceships.
My name is pronounced R-E-D. Red, like the color you know, the SC means star. Citizen and the Deutschland, hehe. Greetings from Germany, my friend. Keep up the great work.
Keep up the great work. Thank you very much, Red. Very much appreciated. Red Star Citizen Deutschland. Okay. Thank you. Very much appreciated. Has CIG said anything about being able to swap the snub bait out of Connie for something else in the future? No, they haven't. But that is a very good point. I'd be interested to see, like, for something like the Taurus,
where you're being hosted, so I decided to use this.
Thank you very much for the host. Where you're getting, yeah. So that's interesting, isn't it? To get the Taurus, you want the stripped out version of the Constellation. You might want to build it in a slightly different way than is intended. You might want to just use it for cargo, but you might want to go, well, let's get this one because it's easier to get, and then we'll add weapons and equipment based on our needs as we go forward. And I like the idea of being able to build it out slightly differently. Or do you imagine they will go fast to add the Star Citizen equivalent to blue ice? What you mean, hiss being ejected out of planes and things? Maybe. I like the idea that as part of the Genesis, like transportation stuff, that you have to go and jettison the the toilet waste, otherwise they will get backed up or something. That would be hilarious. Maybe. Thank you very much. I appreciate all the kind words and comments. Thank you. Greetings to you from the UK as well. Didn't realise I had very many, if at all, any Mexican viewers. Thank you. But I'm hoping that we get a bit like Fremen-esque suits when it comes down to like the spacesuit. Like it just assumes that, you know, it hydrates you and feeds you effectively, and your pee's being dealt with and your poo's being dealt with. Like that idea. I'd like to see a proper gunship. Obviously, the Redeemer's going to have that role, but I'm expecting to see some other gunshipy type things. I'd like to see probably at some point some better or different types of heavy fighter. We need to see loads of these smaller industry ships, so a small salvage ship, a small repair ship, stuff like that. I want to see small ones for all of those roles. There's lots of stuff that Star Citizen could do with, so we'll have to wait and see exactly how they do that. I'd like to see like an incredibly modular tiny ship as well, probably something like Drake. Yes, so players will have the option to be a commercial pilot. That's what the Genesis Starliner is about. You literally moving around people as a gameplay mechanic. And then the 890 Jump's going to have the VIP mechanic version of that, but the Genesis will also have that based on how you load out the Genesis. And there might be other larger and smaller passenger craft as well. Yeah, there's no snub for the Taurus. There's extra cargo instead.
So I decided to use this.
Is the thing still there? I can't remember if the docking port for it's still there, or if it's nearby, or it has like a... Is it just literally more cargo there at the moment? Yes. Atmospheric Flight looking a bit lackluster at Gamescom. Did anyone play it feel better? No. So I agree with you actually. So the Gamescom flight mechanics, they in Atmosphere, they need to get this working a bit better. Now, it's probably just something as simple as tweaking the numbers and then getting it feeding right. So basically, in atmosphere flight from 3.0 and the Gamescom demo and from the actual presentation, it just feels like they're in space still. I mean, I know there's low gravity on the moons, but still more gravity than there was in space. And these ships should be, if they get hit by something, when in gravity, when in atmosphere, that should be one of the major punishments for being in atmosphere. They should be, like, they should hit the ground. They should get massively knocked off course. They should have to really go, oh god, I've been hit by a railgun. It's knocked me off course. I could hit the ground. But it felt like they did just flip over and just hover there still, like they're in space. That's not what I want at all. So yes, they do need to get the atmosphere mechanics working well, and they haven't yet. Yeah, I want them turning over and hitting the ground. I want them having weight to them. There's a lot they need to get right for that. That is atmospheric mechanics, because otherwise you're just flying in space near a planet. It's just meh. Why the hell is the Retaliator base marked as a fighter? Oh, so I think originally the idea was it was supposed to be this heavy fighter bomber, or someone thought that, but it's a heavy bomber. Heavy bomber. And also, anything on that stats page at the moment, just assume is false. Just assume is incorrect. Whatever the fuck it is. It's being worked on by Turbulence, who at the moment are working on the finishing off the Delta Patcher, and then I believe that they're going on to that, finishing off that stats page, and then redeveloping the website, I think. So we need that stats page so badly. That is my major gripe with Star Citizen at the moment. They don't respond to flood campaigns quick enough, such as that $45,000 refund thing, which was woven into some sort of weird, end times narrative, oddly, and stuff like that. So they need to update that website because there's incorrect information on it, and it would drive a new backer. If I just got into the game now, I'd go mad. Thank you very much for that $10 donation. Good day, sir. When are they going to fix Are they going to fix this SIP stats page with 3.0? Seems like an easy fix. It seems like an easy fix to me as well, KW0311. Thank you for all your donations in the past, by the way. I occasionally miss some of your questions, but I do notice you. I recognise your picture and now name. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. It seems like an easy fix for me as well. Like, I'd go through that and either remove the incorrect information or just change it so it's at least more accurate. It really annoys me.
Always watch your content for your views, even after watching the raw CGI uploads. Excited to join you someday in the verse.
Thank you very much. Very much appreciated for the donation. Yes, and with 3.0 coming out, we'll, on the Discord and on the Reddit community, if you join them, we will just play games occasionally. We'll just jump in. Obviously, this is mainly for Star Citizen, but we're going to be doing it for Destiny 2. We're going to be doing it for Conan Exiles. We'll be doing it for other games as well. But 3.0, I'm hoping they get that stats page out for them as well. Like, if they do, that'll make me so happy. But it annoys me because I do think it's a really easy fix, and they've kind of gone, oh no, yeah, it is. It's a day's work for someone to go through that website at the moment. And it's not the best fix, but it's a better one than they've got at the moment. That's annoying me. I'm sorry. That's me ranting. CIG do a lot of stuff right, but they do a lot of stuff wrong as well. It's more the marketing and some things with the community. They just get incorrect. You've got to see them as a very junior company. They've only been going for like, what, 2000... Realistically, I'd say the genesis of the actual studios as we know them date 2013. So really the studio's only been operating at this kind of scope, or planning for this kind of scope for the last 4 years. And that's a very junior studio for something of this size, something of this scope. They do get stuff wrong. Any idea what kind of times people with lifetime insurance will have to wait to get their destroyed chips back? So it's going to be based on, in 3.0, it will be like a set amount of time. And as long as you haven't constantly been reclaiming ships, you can get it back relatively quickly. You can like wait a day as well if you wanted and have it back for free, or you can pay the little, a small amount of money to get it quicker, or whatever. going forward from that, when they actually flesh out the mechanic a lot better for insurance, it's going to be based on how rare the ship is. Do they have any of the ships in stock? Is there a build time? Are other people getting those ships? So in the future, with lifetime insurance, won't mean diddly squat when it comes to how long you have to wait for a ship. It will be based on, do they have the ship, and is there a queue? Also, missions are going to be generated to get materials to help build those ships. So if there's a shortage on steel, there'll be like lots of missions to get steel. Do you think the railgun will have the same amount of ammo like in the 3.0 demo? I don't know. I don't know. It will get changed and balanced though, so bear that in mind. Do vehicles have energy shielding? Some of them do, yes. Some of them don't. Some of them do. I don't know if the Urza has an energy shield. I know that some of the cars will have. I just don't know if all of them do. Yeah, my brother as well. Thank you very much for asking. Yes, so I would very much like to see the Squadron 42 vertical slice for CitizenCon this year. I am expecting it, but I don't know if it's going to be there. Because they basically, there was that German Crash Corps. Sorry, I'm not very good at words today. Crash Corps did a video talking when they talked with the devs, and they put some stuff in there that was then later rescinded from that interview, basically saying that they haven't confirmed what exactly is going to be in CitizenCon yet, so they reserve their right to change anything. And I think it's going to be partly based on, is 3.0 out, and that sort of stuff. I would very much like to see that CitizenCon Squadron 42 vertical slice though at CitizenCon. That would be major for me. Like, that's what we want to see. It was what we wanted to see for ages. And what do I think the new Cutlass will compare to the new Constellation Taurus? I think the Cutlass will be more maneuverable, and is obviously smaller for a reason. It's going to be very useful to bridge the gap between fighter to cargo ship. And that's kind of that's why it's going to be so used by pirates, because it's very useful for raiding, for people transportation, for getting the loot back from the ships you've just plundered, transportation, and is a nice missing link between the Buccaneer and the Caterpillar for that very reason. The Taurus is going to be a great multi-crew ship, probably larger scale, longer range, longer distance. It's going to be more modular, I would expect, actually. So they can probably build it in a few different ways. And it's going to be much more multi-role than the Cutlass Black is. That's my expectation, anyway. Different roles, different roles. Oh, yeah, so... Zelith. Is it Zelith? I saw the response. So... Zeth sent me a message on Reddit talking about the Connect and faceover IP. So the faceover IP stuff is going to work with any camera. That's the plan. But it's built to work with traditional RGB cameras. Let's actually bring up that thing, because I'm going to say it wrong otherwise. Bear with me. Bring it up on the screen. I live to give. Thank you very much. It's very much appreciated for that message. Poopy McStinkbum. Perhaps that. I don't know what that is. Right. So, Zelith talked to someone about the faceover IP stuff. And specifically was asking questions about the Connect. We don't have any specific plans to use the Connect for faceover IP, but it could be made to work. The resolution in RGB camera is technically sufficient for close-in object recognition and orientation, but the 30 FPS max capture rate and though sufficient, is lower than we technically like. Basically, they recommend you have a camera that's got a relatively good 720p plus resolution and 60 frames, and that's going to be where the best kind of performance lies. Faceware will be making their own camera for the best possible experience, and we're going to test out everything, including Kinects, including cheap webcams, including C920, C922s, all that sort of jazz. And so bear that in mind for when we're talking about Face over IP. But thank you very much for that, Zoth. I'll look at that in more detail as well. I'll probably chuck it in the news, because it is, I think it's newsworthy. Did I actually bring that up on my screen? No, I didn't. Well, there's other weird shit on my screen as well, so it's probably best that I didn't. Twerk is fine. Talked to him yesterday. We are going to probably be me, Noob, and Twerk all on the Redacted podcast next week. And he is alive. He's fine. His house hasn't been damaged, and his cat's okay. Bum, 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 bum. I've studied crowdsourcing, including crowdfunding and crowd marketing. It's relatively new and an explored marketing type, and very individual for every single project. From my point of view, CIG is doing well, but not, of course, perfect. Yep, makes sense. I totally agree with that. They are doing well. I mean, they're the most crowdfunded thing of all time, so they're certainly doing something right. Doesn't the Cutlass rework make the Cutlass a better freelancer than the freelancer? No, stuff will be tweaked and changed around. We'll have to see exactly where the freelancer and the Cutlass Black lie when it's in our hands, but expect them to be balanced for slightly different things. Expect the freelancer to be balanced probably for longer range, maybe, for better cargo transportation, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, I think. Yeah, so yeah, that $45,000 fake refund and all the other weird FUD campaigns that have been going on around Star Citizen, I think they've been kind of nipped in the bud a little bit now when people went, oh, they were faking. That's good. That's good. Have they said anything in regards to people advertising real-life businesses in Star Citizen? Well, not really. I think it's a great idea. Obviously, the render-to-texture tech allows them to have loads of cool stuff. They could have in-law adverts for Coca-Cola, for AMD, for Intel, if they wanted to, which wouldn't be immersion breaking because they'd have to conform to Star Citizen's policy of you need to make it in law.
I'm going to buy so many.
But they can make a lot of money from that.
Will the Redeemer be reworked to be a true military-type troop ship?
So the Redeemer's almost certainly on quite a low priority for CIG at the moment. I'd expect to probably see another gunship, possibly, unless they're having the Vanguards as the only gunship in the game. I do think that Redeemer does need to be very gunshippy. It went to kind of dropship, didn't it? It kind of hybrided over. I don't know what the plans for the Redeemer are going to be. As soon as I find out, I will share them. I think a lot of people are a little bit upset at CIG because of what they did with the Redeemer, which kind of, they benched it effectively and didn't finish it. So we'll have to wait and see. I will hold them accountable as I can for the Redeemer and try and get more info. But I'm interested to see what they do with IRL adverts, because they could make a lot of money from that. That could help the game go for 15 years sort of thing without them having to resort to any other funding model once they've released. And I'd be very much up for that because I think that's cool. They obviously can vet all the stuff. And yeah, you'd vet it so it's all stuff that's in law, that would work in law. You talk to the community about it as well, so it's one of the things that Star Citizen need to do all the time. They need to communicate with the community, and change stuff. Any idea what we'll get? Any idea when we'll get more info on what certain ships can do? I mean, like the Carrack, the 600i, the Aquila. So they are writing out the documents, the tech documents, basically stating the game mechanics and exactly what gameplay is there. We should start to see them much more frequently after CitizenCon. That's my expectation anyway. As these mechanics become closer to completion, we'll find out more about them then. Honestly, and quite genuinely, after 3.0's release, live release, we should see mechanics and ships and everything coming into the game much sooner than previous. Like, that is the skeleton and the backbone of the game, which they've been working on for a while. They've been working on 3.1, 3.2, Squadron 42, and that simultaneously, and beyond that as well. So we should start to see a lot coming into the game much quicker. Oh, I don't know if there's going to be more graphic settings in 3.0, nor do I know if they're going to lock or unlock extra things with the user.cfgs. That's an interesting one. I'll find out in Evocati. Cannot wait for my Cutlass Blue. It's a beautiful ship. It was best ship I got was an Aurora, then I upgraded to the Avenger, then I upgraded to the Cutlass Black, and then I upgraded to the Cutlass Blue, and then I've got lots of ships. I'd say the game changer is an important mechanic for the game, that ship. Because I wasn't sure how they were going to actually do some of the mechanics for certain things. And I'd say it's pretty cool. It's probably the only other ship I will buy, and I'll probably get everything else in game. I mean, that said, Star Citizen has a way of making me go, oh, I do want that as well. So, big industry, big civilian job, boom, that sort of stuff I love. We don't know if there's going to be major. We'll have to see what they do with the freelancer. They'll talk about it. They'll talk about it once the Cutlass Black is in. But yeah, they need to be balanced. They need to have slightly different roles, certainly. No, CIG. There was some cool stuff shown at Gamescom. I mean, the Idris battles, they're cool. I'm glad they're actually starting to show stuff like that. I'm glad they can actually support them even in an enclosed network environment, even with low frame rates. I'm still glad they can actually have two capital ships fighting. That was good. The face over IP stuff is unnecessary, but is amazing. And I do actually think, when I say it's unnecessary, playing a load of VR games with a lot of social content recently, I've realised how important that kind of social aspect is. And the extra details that face movements and gestures can make probably will be pretty cool. So there is that. But yeah, I think Gamescom was pretty cool. There's stuff that was missing from it that I hope they show at CitizenCon. Can I use a camera where the IR shield was removed? I believe so. I believe that will work with the face over IP stuff because it is the RGP stuff it tracks, not the IR. Oh, if a railgun can be held by a person, can the weapons on the Nox be switched out for railguns? I'm not sure if the... I think the hand weapons are a different size. The weapons on the Nox and the weapons on the vehicles are ship weapon size, so they're size 1 in this case. So they are technically a different factor than the railgun that's shoulder mounted, I believe. It's a possibility, I suppose, that we might get shoulder mounting for players which can hold size 1 weapons from ships. That's a possibility. I did pull that out my ass, but that makes sense from the modular sense of the game. I'm not sure how realistic that would be, but it's an idea. It's an idea. They've talked about capture mechanics, but will we have to deal with bounty hunters, slavers locking up for extended periods of time? So they'll balance some gameplay. I don't think we're going to have to role play being locked up by people and that sort of stuff. I think that, yeah, I don't think you'll be made prisoner and made to stay there for 2 days or anything. I think they'll be around that form of gameplay, where you go like, oh, I've been captured by the guy, and yeah, he might transport you or whatever if he wants to, but you could just respawn. Effectively, maybe. I don't know. They haven't fleshed all that stuff out. They had recently talked about the EMP weapons. There's a new EMP weapon. Let me show it to you. Boop. Boop. So this is the Maxox Trollmag Burst EMP generator. So I'm assuming this will go into lots of different ships, and I'm interested to see where the e-warfare and this sort of EMP weapon, what kind of gameplay we can get out of it. But yeah, you going to be wanting to disable lots of ships, especially if you're like a pirate. You want to go, well, I want your cargo. I don't want to blow you up every time, because that damages the cargo. I'm interested to see stuff like that. What device do I normally play with? I normally play with mouse and keyboard, although I will probably have a throttle as well nearby. Any more info on ship skins? No, I think that they've made like 14 ship skins for a load of different ships. And we should probably see a load more skin variants in 3.0. The skin system's already in-game to change skins around. We just don't have the customization ability to make our own skins yet. Do you think the Game Changer is a ship with lots of different arcane games on? So literally, it's a game changer. After watching you play Bridge Commander, is VoIP a bad idea? Oh, fuck you. What do you think about this month's jump point? Tumble text, I'm not sure if I've read this month's jump point. I'll have a look. Oh yeah, so there are going to be lots of other ground vehicles. There's going to be tanks. There's going to be a new tumble vehicle by the end of the year. There's going to be tracked vehicles. I'm very excited about that. The Game Changer is specifically talking about a ship, though, not a vehicle. Oh god. I don't know when Squadron 42 or Star Citizen will be coming out. I don't know. For 3.0, obviously they're down to 26 bugs now. 2 weeks to 6 weeks, my expectation at the moment. For 3.0, either wide PTU build or live release. But we'll have to wait and see. Probably 2 to 8 weeks for a live release. And what was the other thing? For Squadron 42, I don't know. I mean, from what I saw on the studio tour and stuff like that, I'm expecting it to be pretty soon, but I don't know when. Star Citizen, thinking beta for it in about 2019. Mid-2019 is my expectation for a beta for the game. And then a live release in 2020 sort of thing. I'll have to wait and see again. I don't know. Quality is always going to trump any form of schedule, though. They're not beholden to any traditional kind of dates and release schedules or anything, because they are self-publishing. And that is annoying when we want the game now. Hopefully, should lead to a better quality game. We'll have to see if feature creep or... Because the last of the great feature creep that we had was procedural planets and procedural cities. That's the sort of last thing that we were aware of. That's the last of the great feature creep. Face over IP, they were working on playing on that in 2013. So people are like, no. So that's delayed the game for a while, for like at least a year, that integration of procedural planets and procedural cities, almost certainly. Without that, if it was just the space stuff and limited landing zones, the game would have been out much, much, much quicker. But I do think we're going to get a lot for that, a lot more tangible gameplay. It's basically doubling the length of gameplay and the potential gameplay, if not more, with that procedural planet tech. It's just... The scope has changed so much, and the issue is that with feature creep, is that we're not going to see any more giant feature creep, or very unlikely to, but we might see extra supported systems that like attacked on to help with procedural planets, that helped on with procedural cities. We might see that kind of, and that's something that we need to look out for, be aware of, and hold CIG responsible and kind of like, whoa, we don't need this, or we do need this, or... And it works both ways. We might see something that, like, actually, this would be really cool for Star Citizen. Yeah, it might delay the game slightly further. Obviously, we're not talking years, because that would be annoying. I want the game now! Ah! I don't know what I'm talking about. But no, I want the game as soon as possible, but I do want that quality there. And I do want that game to be pretty much the game of my dreams. Now, holding it to that kind of level is probably unrealistic. It's going to be a really good game. I've enjoyed the project, and I've enjoyed what they're trying to do. But it's a hard thing. This has got 2 shadows, which is annoying me. Those extra features that might like support those major features, that's something that I'm going to be looking out for and going, hang on, we don't need this. Or, no. Given that the 600i allows us to assign unique names to ships, does this mean that unique ship name will be a thing for all ships? I don't 100% know yet. I think it's like a ship reservation thing more than anything else. And I believe that you can technically have the same name on a different ship, so it's per hull. But we'll have to see exactly how they flesh out that. I would like to be able to name all ships. That would be something that would be pretty cool. How big does a donation need to be for me to twerk? Maybe I'll do a special little unique video for you for the twerking, Looper. I'm not sure if I can twerk on stream, especially if I did it, it would be too sexual. Wow, my brain went. I mean, shall I say offer me a price? Then I realised how much of a whore I've been by saying that. No, I'm good. Thank you. Yeah, you can get a special little video for yourself if you want. Oh my god. Any idea when they'll be migrating? Any idea how they'll mitigate? There being a ton of people trying to get missions from the same NPCs during the game release. So, in the short term, it's not an issue because there's only going to be like 24 players on the server. Obviously, that'll be upped slowly. When they've got their full game release, they're going to there's going to be loads of different NPC mission givers. They've talked about players being able to receive missions from their Moby-Glass, from jobs boards, from other NPCs. So the issue is only if everyone's trying to specifically speak to like Miles Eckhart simultaneously for a reason. And there would be a queue there. They will look at different ways of dealing with that if it becomes an issue. But they said because there's so many NPCs, because there's so many potential mission givers, there's so many different ways of completing quests, that you don't need to constantly go and see that particular mission giver because everyone's going to have different missions at different times. And the system can work it out effectively. Go, well, we've already given 12 missions from Mars Eckhart to these people, and they take an average of an hour to complete. And let's give some missions to these people, and these people, and these people. All these ones are being complete. Let's give him another one from the queue. So hopefully the system will be able to work it out automatically. Do you think CIG will ever sell the Vandal Stinger, the Vandal Void Bomber, and the F8 Lightning? Unlikely. They might sell a civilian version of the F8 Lightning, the F8C, rather than the F8A. It's a possibility, because it has changed role, apparently, in Squadron 42. Or it's changed part of its intention. I don't know. There was something that Ben said a while ago. The Stinger and Void Bomber will probably be obtainable in-game. Somehow, like by capturing them from Vandal. I don't think they'll be sold by CIG, but I might be wrong. Yeah, seriously, Bridge Commander, try more on phaser distance and less on engines, and you won't get pwned. Thank you. Or owned. Or pawned. Do you think subscribers will get ground vehicles to test when 3.0 launches? I think that will be ship of the months will sometimes be ground vehicles. I think that they will still do free flights where you'll get to test ground vehicles and ships for everyone. I think that probably for the PTU, we'll probably have all ships and vehicles to test. What else have we got? What else have we got here? No, I don't know everything. A lot of the stuff I say is based on educated guessing. I mean, I do a lot of research about Star Citizen every day. I'm on the Reddit for several hours a day. I'm on Spectrum. I'm reading all the stuff as it comes out. I do really enjoy the Star Citizen project, and I enjoy having a level of knowledge which is reasonable and being able to track stuff as it happens. But I do get stuff wrong, and a lot of the stuff I suppose CIG probably doesn't know how it's going to be fleshed out and stuff like that as well. But yeah, I specifically don't work for CIG, so I can speculate freely. With the news and stuff, I will try and when I do my news stuff, I will try and speculate as little as possible and just bring you the news as it happens. I'll do speculation videos as well in the mixture of that. I'm very much looking forward to 3.0 so we can actually do some tangible gameplay and I can get some guides up and that sort of stuff, and we can get some hardware guides up as well. I'm hoping that the Boomslang gets put into game at some point. They have talked about possibly putting some of those ships in game, so we'll have to wait and see. Looking forward to the Banu Merchantman. Yep, Banu Merchantman is one of my top ships. It's currently the Reclaimer. Is the my number one ship at the moment. I fucking love it. I'm hoping so the survival mechanics. I just hope that they're not too aggressive. I mean, I'm okay with the light survival mechanics. I'm good. The stamina system's absolutely great. I want that tactical strategic thinking, but I don't want the tactical strategic thinking of, did I bring enough biscuits and do I need to shit myself? Yeah, so eating and drinking in game is possibly going to be a thing. I'm going to try and push against it for players. In my opinion, it shouldn't have any real effect. That's just me. Joy of Star Citizen, that everyone get what they want, get their own opinions out. I can't see what that is. Will our stats and accomplishments from Squadron 42 transfer over to the PU? Yes, they will. They've said that, and some of your contacts and some of your general staff, even if you go back and play Squadron 42 after you've made your PU character, it will get filled in and actually complete it. Not sure how that's going to work for multiple playthroughs, but I suppose that would be different characters. But yeah, so stuff that you do with that character in Squadron 42 will transfer over to your PU character. What else do we have? How is dying going to work in 3.0? It's not going to be a terrible thing in 3.0 at the moment. It's like when you die, I expect you to lose everything on your body and your ship and everything. You go out and, if your ship was still there, you could go out and grab your ship. But you'd have to claim for your ship back on insurance if you were unable to retrieve it. And you respawn in the last major spawn location you went to. So there's going to be multiple spawn locations now. So you have Levski, you'll have Port Olisar, you'll have Grimhex, and a load of others. And it'll be the last major spawn zone that had like a medical facility that you visited. However, wherever you log out in game, it's where you'll respawn as well. So there is persistence for that. Yeah, you will lose any equipment on you. I'm assuming though that equipment, well, 100% equipment that you've paid for with cash or with UEC on the website will just respawn with you. But other stuff that you've paid for at the alpha UEC in-game currency will be lost. You have to rebuy. That's for specifically 3.0. That'll evolve that mechanic. Do you think they'll use the phase over IP tech to make standard missions more interesting, to have a more random NPC act? Oh, I think there might be just the subsumption. Thank you very much, SMB. I fucking love your face. That's SMB, Sumac Brothers Ryan. He's an awesome YouTuber and streamer as well. He's a legend. Give him some love. So the subsumption engine should drive the rigs for NPCs anyway, so that they should be a bit different every time, and they can do cool stuff with that, so they don't need to fake them using FOIP or change them FOIP. I do expect that we'll have games masters in games that will be driving plot in the future, which will be actual players that will give out missions, and there will be a mission system that players can generate and create missions as well. I'm looking forward to seeing how Star Marine and Arena Commander improve with 3.0's release as well. Obviously, Stamina is going to make Star Marine a very different game. Yeah, so for people that don't know, show this again quick because lots of new people have joined us. there's lots of FUD and bullshittery going on around Star Citizen with people attacking it because, you know, they're trolls and they want to watch everything burn and shit on everything and just throw poo around. Other people's poo, their own poo, eat the poo. Wave the poo into their faces! So there was a fabrication of a $45,000 refund over the weekend. Not over the weekend, yesterday, the day before yesterday, all around that time. There was actually a refund for $330 that a Reddit user just faked to pretend it was $45,000, and the story has been updated, and apologies have been made and that sort of stuff. But the Reddit user that posted the original story has deleted his Reddit account. Dun dun dun. But this is the sort of shit that you have to deal with regularly in the Star Citizen community. People will attack the project, people will post bullshit news, and mainstream media are able to report on bullshit, unfounded news because they're just reporting on someone else's view of that story. See what I mean? So someone going, I've got this refund. They can go, apparently, this guy's obtained this refund. That's their news. And all they've got to do is print a retraction or an edit when they get the real news, which gives them even more views. But, you know, let bygones by. Oh. I think I might have received another donation, but I can't work out how to see it. What the... Very sorry I didn't answer a question from someone's donation. Oh, what? Jaylee, I love you! Jaylee's here. He's the best. I mean, so I like the idea for NPCs eating and drinking, and I like that's why you'd have in bases or on the Idris and capital ships, you have the mess hall, and you should have to have food stocks to keep your crew happy, or be able to hire a crew. You need the food stocked or something like that. I like that idea. Makes sense. But for players to do it, I just think it's a bit too... It's going to become SimCitizen. It's going to become... And that's not what I want. I want a lot of fun, a lot of gameplay, and I want relatively quick access to it. It doesn't need to be super quick access. It does. I like the idea of planning and being strategic, but
Tricksy little hobbitses.
Dough Chop, thank you very much. Love your face. And if you like the idea of eating and drinking, or you have a totally different idea of what you want in the game, you're allowed to have it. Talk about it on Spectrum. Talk about it here if you want. I'm all good with it. Like, it's very important that everyone has their ideas going into this game, and then they get a mixture of normalized, cherry-picked, and everyone has some form of say and input, because you get some great stuff and some crap stuff from that. Hopefully you get a better game for it. Love Jay Lee. I'm looking forward to the way they're going to do the different systems as well. I'm hoping that they have more PvP-orientated systems, more PvE-orientated systems, and that's the why they do the PvP slider effectively. They have specific areas and zones which are much more well known to players that this is where PvP happens, and then they don't have to faff around too much. There doesn't necessarily need to be a motivation for the faked refund, Darkoff. If it's just a troll, they just might want to watch the world burn. They might want to have just power over someone. What's the motivation of anyone lying on the internet? Some people just want power over other people. Some people want an emotional response. Some people just want to be dicks. Some people want to weave it into some sort of attack narrative against Star Citizen. Just internet because internet.
I am going to buy so many spaceships.
Thank you very much, Joanne.
Final one. Have a great weekend. Brian Scanlon.
Thank you very much. I love you. You're the best. Woo! Thank you for the donations. Very much appreciated. I think I'm going to be getting, and this is not 100% confirmed, for my CPU, I'm probably going to get an 8700K because they've got a very strong single core performance, and that's going to be very good for my needs. So that would be an i7 8700K. I am going to wait until I actually have hands-on reviews of them done by third parties. Because I am going to be comparing to the Threadripper, because the Threadripper might be better for my needs, and I am going to be comparing them to the other Coffee Lake series that Intel are doing, because I don't have any affiliation or care whether it's an AMD or an Intel. It's literally what's best for my needs. So thank you very much for that. It's all going towards that at the moment, and over 54%. Actually, this figure's slightly wrong. We've got a bit more in donation from YouTube's. I'm sure we'll update it with. It's probably around $80 more. So thank you very much for that. That's very much appreciated, guys. Blah, 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 blah. Jaylee a sword on the Twitches. BoredGamer, I was trying to pitch Mac the idea of making an updated compilation video of all the cool stuff of Star Citizen that keeps us all hyped, like grabby hands, cargo, VoIP, face tracking. Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea for a video. I could do a weird and wonderful, like, cool little features of Star Citizen, or things to be excited for Star Citizen, or maybe something slightly clickbaity, which will look at grabby hands, that will look at boarding and breaching, we'll look at capital ship battles, we'll look at face over IP. Probably more of the quirky things. That's quite cool little idea. Yeah, so that armor-piercing crossbow is somewhere in here. I saw. Let me bring this up on the screen again. I'm sure I saw the crossbow in here. Crossbow. It may be being worked on right now, and may be finished by the end of the year. So bear that in mind. I'm not sure if I need more PCIe lanes, but I might. I don't know. I'm going to wait until the hands-on reviews, work out exactly what my needs are, make sure there's a little bit of future-proofing there, and then choose based on that. Oh, you fucking... I love you so much, Zeus. Yes, subscriptions on Twitch are 50% off this month, aren't they? I just remembered. Thank you very much, Zeus. You're a beautiful man. Probably likes Intel. Yes, Intel's new range that's coming out end of October? Beginning of October? October, I believe. I'm interested to see them. At the very least, they should drop some of the Threadripper prices. And Star Citizen will start to use more and more cores and threads. Even in 3.0, they're pushing some of the physics and stuff over to more cores, so which is good. But WildStar's an MMO, not a MOBA. Yeah, I know, right? I actually quite liked WildStar a while ago. They've made it. You can do group building and stuff now. I think I'll look at WildStar again later. But Destiny 2 in the short term, very interested in Destiny 2. I'm really enjoying my VR stuff. I've got the wires literally going up now. I'm using lanyards to hold them up. VR Cover sent me a load of cool VR covers for my Oculuses and stuff, which helps loads with being able to wear them for longer. So I'll be doing more VR content. I'm really enjoying VR. It's going to be mainly on the stream I'll do VR stuff, because I don't want to saturate non-Star Citizen content on my main channel, because it is a Star Citizen channel, basically. So more cores the better in the future, yes. In the short term, I think just like 8 threads is probably more than you need for Star Citizen. Stronger single core performance is very much recommended. But in the future, we're going to see like 16 threads being used, possibly more. I can't guess for the game changer because I think I know what it is, because I was talking to devs about it on the studio tour. But it's going to be a big civilian job, big ship, expecting it to be concept sailed at CitizenCon. It probably will be a ship that I buy as well, based on its price. I mean, if it's a bullshit price, they go, well, it's the size of a Javelin, so it's going to have a price tag of one. But no, I'm good. Oh, your point about WildStar is that it was a subscription-based MMO. Okay, that crashed afterwards. Okay, yeah. So is it just the Z370 boards that they've got this year? For it? Okay. Maybe it's better to get Threadripper then, but as I said, once they come out, I'll work it out. I'm almost certain I know what the game changer is, yes. Well, there's some quite cagey around it. One of the selling points was the Massive Battlegrounds mode. Okay, yeah. Right, do we have any other questions? I think I'm going to put the Burndown for ATV on. And then take some more questions. And then Oh shit! My French. I think just read one of my videos would have gone live when I wanted to go live after this broadcast. It's gone live now, but it doesn't matter. Bring this bad boy up. Let's find out the volume. Is that okay volume-wise, or is that too loud? Let's get some talking.
Hello, and welcome to another...
So I'm almost always going to buy civilian-based ships for mechanics that I don't currently own. See what I mean? So I want to produce video content on everything as it becomes available in Star Citizen. It's very important that I understand how those mechanics work. It's very important that I make videos on that. So lots of ships I will just have to buy. And I'm hoping that we've got to kind of the final stage where I don't have to buy too many more. But I will almost certainly be buying a game changer because it's an important mechanic in my head. So you'll probably get a game changer then. Yes, Erin's comments about the refocusing of 3.0 and what they're focusing on now and how they're going to proceed with Evocati are very important. So I think the X1 is going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks on Concept Sale. That's going to be very small. It's the open canopy Origin Racer. It's basically a bike. It is a bike. And then I think after that's probably the game changer. And it's going to be big. They will support VR at some point. I think it might even be the Faceware guys or Spectrum or something that's going to handle some of that. That's going to be in the phases where they do face over IP stuff. I saw some reports and info about it. They are going to be looking at VR in the future, and it should be in the game, and it should support all major headsets. As long as it supports open source VR, that's what I'm after.
Another episode of Around the Verse, our weekly look at Star Citizen's ongoing development. I'm Sandy Gardner.
And I'm Josh Herman.
We've got a good one for you today. Later in the show, we'll be talking to Tony Zurevec and
so we're just going to watch the Burndown bit.
Others to learn more about the improved mission system that's set to bring a whole bunch of new gameplay to the persistent universe.
But before we tackle that, it's time for another edition of Burndown, where we discuss all of this week's progress on the Alpha 3.0 release.
Let's check in with the team to see what issues the devs have been battling.
Welcome back to Burndown, our weekly show dedicated to reviewing progress on issues blocking the release of Star Citizen Alpha 3.0. Last week, we ended at 76 total must-fix issues, which was prioritized as 10 blockers, 50 criticals, 14 highs, 2 moderates, and no trivials. So let's catch up with the team to see how we're progressing.
Quantum travel short trip distance set too far, taking ages to go between moons or other destinations that should not have the slow version of the quantum travel. About 25 minutes ago, or half an hour ago, Mike Dillon's put a comment on it, and the way of dealing with it is for Mike to fix this issue, being to probably revert his change.
So the most recent bug we got for the quantum drive had to do with traveling way too slow within the system. Our star system is...
This is interesting. So they're really focusing on traversal for 3.0 now. And that's the focus. That's the focus for the first Evocati build with the remaining bugs. They want to get the traversal, they want to get the movement, they want to get the quantum travel, the ATC, all that sort of jazz, as refined and the best as possible for the Evocati build. Wham! Then we get an Evocati build. Then they'll work on the other bugs for the next Evocati build. And some of the bugs they were having, especially with quantum travel, was that it was either moving too fast or too slow in the short jumps. They want to be able to do short jumps between very proximate objects, or on the same, like from top of a planet to the other side of the planet. You know what I mean? Not through the planet, but from one end to the other end of the planet, or whatever, or nearby the planet, with quick little quantum jumps. So this is the fix for that.
Massive. It's not as large as the actual solar system, but it's like scaled towards that. And we recently wanted to have short-range travel between very close points, so the points around a planet. Unfortunately, our calculations, we didn't take into account how fast we were going. So what we were calculating dynamically for the short range had to do with how fast do we get to travel speed and how fast do we slow down.
The music's really loud, isn't it?
One solution we put in towards that was to also fixing targeting issues. We replaced the physics push we were using, where we pushed the ship along its forward, with a calculated envelope of where you should be. We could pass in a time and go 5 seconds in, you should be here at this speed. That also allowed us to trim our ramp up, ramp down times, working with design so that they knew that they could modify that to shorten that angle.
So they've trimmed.
And it allows us to now travel
it.
slowly around the planets, but still get the fast travels between the moons themselves. So it only takes like 5 or 6 seconds, maybe 10, depending on how far away. We're still working on tuning those numbers so we have nice, long, fun travels. You can get out and walk around the ships and stuff, but it still doesn't take a half an hour to go from one side of a planet to another, because that's just not fun. We had another issue kind of led off of that where we ended up going too fast because we over accelerated in the other direction and everything went way too far. So it's been a matter of balancing out the code, making sure it's calculating things correctly, and working with design to get the visual and the feel that they want, and then working with VFX to make things look pretty as it's going. And everything's coming along really well on that. So now it's working pretty well. We still got a few tweaks we want to do, but overall it's working really solid.
Todd would define the agenda the week before. You'd be testing that agenda. We'd be figuring out the issues with that.
Yeah, Zeus, the links to the merch store should be in the description below.
And would be coming up with something that we could look to review in the event that thing wasn't available.
I was listening to him, and
now,
I couldn't work out what he was
suggest
really
is
saying here.
Commodity, inventory, cargo, that whole gameplay loop of being able to sell as well, and maybe even looking at the kiosk. And if that does have issues, then there's other things that we can look at in terms of missions, or even areas of being able to traverse to different planets. There's a lot of different things that have been marked off for complete. So the whole idea here is, you know, we got to look at them.
So recently, we were regressing a bug on the PU for the 3.0 build. I went to drop a ship onto a character on a pad.
So a lot of people aren't as concise as other people. They've got a specific way of talking. Like, I ramble when I talk live, but when I convey information to people, specifically, I try and keep it as concise as possible. And talking to Noobify and people like that, you get much better at just giving concise info quickly.
Just to see the animations at first,
Thanks.
what ended up happening is the ship exploded.
My crappy merch is on sale.
The player is just standing there, like nothing happened, which, so a ship flies into him, it pauses because it's freaking out. Ship blows up, and then the guy is like, no problem.
Okay.
There is another video, ships like flying into a person, and then...
Oh, so this is interesting.
And the guy is just floating there like...
So, basically what's happened here is that players, smaller items were given mass, they changed the mass of smaller ships and stuff, and larger ships, so that an M50 couldn't ram an Idris, or probably in this case a Gladius couldn't ram an Idris and destroy it instantly, because that was an issue they're having. Obviously for the Gamescom actual presentation demo, they needed to fix that. So that's what they did. But this had a knock-on effect of giving players some sort of absurd mass, so that anytime they were rammed with a ship, they were unscathed, and it would destroy the ship.